Listen. Listen to me carefully because I'm only going to say this one time at the top and then we are getting into the weeds. Stefon Diggs' mama just walked into Cardi B's tour in Houston. In a red plaid skirt, knee-high stockings, combat boots, and the kind of smile a woman only puts on when she has already picked a side and she wants the whole internet to know it. I'll repeat that. Stefon Diggs' mama. The NFL mom. The same woman who has been front row at every game, every press tunnel, every parade her son ever walked through, that woman flew herself out, on her own dime, to her son's ex-girlfriend's concert. Days after he got cut from the New England Patriots. Days after he supposedly got dumped. Days after the world watched Cardi B walk away from a man with 4 other kids by 4 other women and a chef accusation hanging over his head like a chandelier with a loose screw. And Mama? Mama said, "Heels or sneakers, baby, I'm pulling up. So we are going to sit down. We are going to breathe. And we are going to talk about what this really means because Cardi B's fans are losing their entire minds in the comments right now, and I don't think a single one of them has caught the one detail that actually cracks this whole thing open. I'm going to give it to you, but you've got to let me cook. First, the receipts. Because I am not here to make up anything. I am here to read what is in front of me. Last week, the New England Patriots released Stefon Diggs after one of the most chaotic seasons that franchise has seen in years. One season. 1. The man arrived with all the noise, the Cardi B romance, the courtside dates, the baby announcement, the Super Bowl appearance, the chef lawsuit, the alleged baby number 8, the women crawling out of the woodwork talking about, "I have his kid too." And the Patriots looked at all of that, looked at the cap sheet, looked at his locker room energy, and said, "Sir, we are going to need you to take this circus somewhere else." He got cut on a Thursday. That same Thursday, same day, same hours, while his agent was probably still on the phone, his mother, Stephanie Diggs, who runs an Instagram called Dig This, with the bio NFL Mom, posted a poll. 2 outfits laid out on a hotel bed. Leopard pillows. Zebra pillows. A red plaid skirt. A pair of Chanel boots. A red cup. Some sheer over the knee stockings. And one single question across the screen, tagged directly to Cardi B's handle. Heels or sneakers for it, I am Cardi tonight? That is not a coincidence, babies. That is not a, "Oh, I already had the ticket." That is a choreographed, time-stamped, publicly mom-approved statement. On the day her son's career hit the worst headline of his life, his mother chose to make her own headline, and she made it inside her son's ex's arena. Now I want you to picture something with me. Picture being Stefon Diggs that Thursday. You wake up. Patriots release you. Your phone is on fire. ESPN is running the cheer-in. Pat McAfee is laughing about you. Skip Bayless is twitching toward a microphone somewhere. And then you open Instagram to escape the noise because Instagram is supposed to be the safe place, right? Instagram is mama and aunties and your cousin's birthday, and the first story at the top of your feed is your own mother in a Get Ready With Me video, picking out an outfit for your ex-girlfriend's concert. Phew. Phew, phew, phew. That is not a mother who is on the fence. That is a mother who has seen things. That is a mother who has been on the phone with somebody, and I have a feeling it wasn't her son. Now here is where Cardi's fans went feral, and I want to play their argument fair before I take it apart. The argument goes like this. Stephanie is just being a classy mother-in-law. Cardi gave her a grandbaby. Why wouldn't she show up? Why are we making this weird? Okay, sure. On the surface, that reads clean. But pull the camera back 6 inches and look at the timing. Stephanie did not pop up at the Brooklyn show. She didn't fly to Vegas. She picked the Houston stop. Houston is Cardi's home base for that swing. Houston is where the cameras are thickest, where the local news clips travel the fastest, where every blog from the Shade Room to Page 6 has a stringer in the lobby. If you wanted a quiet, private, I still love my grandbaby's mama moment, you'd send flowers. You'd DM. You'd FaceTime. You don't poll your 200 and something thousand Instagram followers about your footwear options for the show. That post was a press release. With a bedazzled hat. And here is the part nobody is talking about, and this is the forgotten detail I promised you. The thing nobody else caught. The thing that turns this from gossip into a confession. When Stephanie first uploaded her Ready to Party post from the concert, she set it to a song. A specific song. Not a generic Cardi B track. Not Bodak Yellow or WAP, or any of the obvious choices a supportive mother-in-law would pick. She used a shady song. A song that fans on Twitter, back when Twitter was Twitter, clocked within 20 minutes. They started screenshotting. They started reposting. They started captioning, "Oh, she knew what she did." And then, quietly, with no announcement, no apology, no statement, Stephanie went back into the post and stripped the audio out. Removed it. The song is gone. The screenshots aren't. Now, why does that matter? Stay with me. Because here's what a deleted audio track tells you in 2026 internet language. A deleted audio track is the digital equivalent of clearing your throat and looking at the floor. It's the equivalent of, I shouldn't have said it that loud, but I'm still going to wear the outfit. It's the equivalent of your mama at Thanksgiving rolling her eyes at your husband, then catching herself, then saying, "Pass the cornbread, baby." She didn't take back what she felt. She took back the volume. That song was the volume. And here's why Cardi B's fans should be paying closer attention instead of celebrating in the comments like Stephanie is some patron saint of leave him, sis. That woman is not on Cardi's side. That woman is on her grandson's side. There is a difference. There is a profound, gigantic, multi-generational difference, and if you have ever been in a black family, if you have ever been in any family with a long memory and a longer phone tree, you already know exactly what I'm talking about. A grandmother showing up to her grandbaby's mama's concert in a red plaid skirt is not endorsement. It's insurance. It is a public, photographable, undeniable record that says, if you ever try to take my grandson out of my life over my actual son's mess, the receipts will say I was here. I was present. I supported. I never gave you a reason. That is not love. That is legal positioning. Soft, smiling, Chanel boot legal positioning. And it works. Now let me steelman the other read for a second, because I am not in the business of pretending I know everything. Maybe, Stephanie is genuinely just tired. Maybe she has watched her son fumble women for years. Maybe she watched the chef story break and her jaw dropped. Maybe she watched the rumor about a possible baby number 8 and finally said to herself, I raised him better than this. Maybe she watched Cardi pull back during the Super Bowl run and thought, good for her, she's protecting her peace. Maybe the concert really was just a fun girls' night with one of her friends. She captioned it, class is in session, with a partner in crime, after all. Maybe, but then explain the deleted song. You can't. Because if it was innocent, you don't delete the audio. You leave it up. You say, it's a vibe. You laugh in the comments. You don't quietly scrub the soundtrack like a publicist at 2 in the morning. Now, let's zoom out, because if we just sit on the outfit and the audio, we miss the whole map. The map is what makes this story actually big. Because Stephanie didn't just show up out of nowhere. There is a trail. A pattern. And once you see the pattern, the Houston concert isn't a one-off. It's the loudest note in a song that has been playing under the surface for a year. Trail Piece 1. Mother's Day. May. Stephanie was at her son's event. Cardi was there, and they were photographed laughing. Not posed. Laughing. The kind of laughing where shoulders touch. The kind of laughing where one woman taps the other on the arm because something landed. That photo went around. Most people scrolled past it. I did not scroll past it. I screenshot it because in my experience, that is the laugh of two women who have texted each other behind a man's back. That is co-conspirator energy. That is I love my son, but Lord let me tell you what he did this week energy. Trail Piece 2. The pregnancy announcement. September. Cardi tells Gayle King she's pregnant with baby number 4, her first with Stefon. And while the internet is melting down, while Offset is somewhere typing and deleting tweets, while the comment sections are descending into pure chaos, Stephanie posts. Quietly. Just a heart. A single heart on her grandbaby's mama's announcement. No caption. No essay. No praying for my son in this difficult time. Just a heart. That heart was a flag planted in the ground. Trail Piece 3. The birth. November. Baby boy. Name still not public as of today. Stefon was there, by all reports. Cardi was glowing. And in the rolling Instagram tributes that came afterwards from the family, there is Stephanie. Front and center. Tagging Cardi. Captioning her grandson. While simultaneously, and this is the part that fascinates me, staying completely silent on her son's other children with his other partners. 5 kids. By multiple women. And in the public-facing version of Stephanie's Instagram presence, you would almost think only one of those grandbabies existed. That is a choice. That is editing. That is a grandmother saying with her grid, I see one of these mothers. I don't see the others. Wait until I tell you why I think she's doing that, because it goes deeper than concert tickets. Trail Piece 4. Super Bowl. February. Diggs plays. The internet has decided he and Cardi are over. There is a viral photo from that weekend of Cardi sitting in the stands in a specific outfit, and 3 rows behind her, somebody captured Stephanie. Not arguing with her. Not avoiding her. Just sitting in proximity. Calm. Composed. Watching her son lose and watching her grandbaby's mother breathe through whatever they were breathing through. And after the loss, after Stefon walked off that field, the family member who posted the most warmly toward Cardi, the family member who reposted Cardi's content, the family member who slid into "thank you for being you" energy was Stephanie. So by the time we get to last week, to the Patriots release, to the Houston concert, to the Heels or Sneakers poll, to the deleted audio, this is not a sudden betrayal. This is a slow, patient, year-long, choreographed pivot. Stephanie Diggs has been telling us where she stood for 12 months. We just weren't reading the room. Now, the Cardi fans. Let's talk about them, because the comment section is divided into 3 civil wars right now, and I want to lay them out so we can actually have a conversation instead of a screaming match. Camp 1 is the celebratory camp. Stephanie, queen, thank you for picking the right side. Stefon doesn't deserve her. Period. These are the fans who saw the chef story and decided. These are the fans who watched the parade of women come forward with kids and decided. These are the fans who don't believe in co-parenting hope, they believe in receipts, and the receipts say run. They love that Stephanie pulled up, and they want her at every show going forward. Camp 2 is the suspicious camp. And this is the camp I am quietly sitting in, sipping my tea, watching. The suspicious camp is saying, wait, hold on. Why is this woman performing publicly? Why the poll? Why the outfit? Why the song? Why now? These are the fans who have been in family drama. These are the fans who know what it looks like when a mother is positioning herself to keep access to a grandbaby in a custody fight that hasn't even started yet, but everybody can smell coming. These are the fans who are saying, Cardi, baby, be careful what mother-in-law energy you accept right now, because mother-in-law energy in a public arena is sometimes a really beautiful trap. Camp 3 is the angry camp. And this camp is mad because they feel like Stephanie is humiliating her own son in public. They're saying, he just got cut. He is in the worst week of his career. And his mother is at his ex's concert with a poll on Instagram. To these fans, Stephanie is the villain. To these fans, this is a betrayal of motherhood itself. To these fans, no matter what Stefon has done, Mama is supposed to ride. And Mama did not ride. I want you to hear me on this. All 3 of those camps have a point. All 3 of those camps are arguing with something real. And the reason this story has gone as nuclear as it has on the internet this week is because every person reading it is reading it through their own family, through their own mother, through their own son, through their own bad relationship and their own grandbabies and their own loyalty wounds. This is not really about Cardi and Stefon at this point. This is about us. This is about every Thanksgiving where somebody picked a side. This is about every time your auntie went too far in the group chat. This is the country having a public conversation, dressed up as celebrity gossip, about what loyalty even means in 2026. Okay, take a breath with me, because we are about to go deeper. Because there is one more layer to this whole thing, and once you see it, you will not be able to unsee it. Here's the layer. I do not think Stephanie Diggs and Cardi B are friends. I want to say that out loud. I do not think they are besties. I do not think they are texting laughing emojis at 3 in the morning. I think Stephanie is doing something far more precise than friendship. I think Stephanie is doing what generations of women in this country have done when a man in their family becomes a liability to a child's stability. She is building the bridge her son refuses to build. Think about it like this. Stefon Diggs, by all public reporting, has, and I am being conservative here, at least 5 children across multiple mothers. He has been accused, in a court filing by his personal chef, of strangling that man over a personal dispute. He has been linked to multiple women during his relationship with Cardi. He has, by his own social media energy, leaned into the wide receiver with the limbo persona that has nothing to do with stable family life. Stephanie has watched all of this. Every Christmas. Every holiday post that didn't include certain grandbabies. Every phone call from a different mother of a different child. She has watched. And then her son falls in love, falls into something anyway, with a woman who has resources. Real resources. A woman who has a security team. A woman who has lawyers. A woman who has a brand. A woman who has, in her own words from concert rants, had it up to here with being humiliated by men in public. A woman who would not lose a custody case if it came to it, because Cardi B does not lose anything that involves a microphone and a phone screen. If you are Stephanie Diggs, what do? You build the bridge to that woman. You make sure that woman knows you. You make sure that woman has photographs of you in her phone smiling at her child. You make sure that the public record, The Instagram grid, the concert appearances, the poll questions, the matching outfits shows you and her on the same side of the line. Because if your son ever does something that means the courts have to make a decision about access to your grandbaby, you do not want to be on the side of the courtroom that includes the person the public considers the villain. You want to be on the side of the mother. The grandmother of record. The she was always there for me grandmother. The one Cardi will testify, if it ever comes to that, she showed up. She loved my son. She loved me. She picked me when nobody else did. That is not betrayal. That is not friendship. That is grandmother chess. And Stephanie Diggs is playing it at a level that 99% of the internet cannot even see, because we are all stuck in the heels versus sneakers debate while she is 6 moves ahead on a board we didn't know was set up. Now do you see why Cardi's fans are losing it? Because some of them are reading this as a win. And some of us, the ones with a long memory, are reading this as a setup. Let me say it cleaner. Stephanie did not pick Cardi. Stephanie picked the grandbaby. Cardi is the address the grandbaby lives at. So Stephanie is being kind to the address. That is not the same as friendship. That is logistics. And if Cardi ever even slightly pulls Stephanie's grandson out of arm's reach, out of weekend visits, out of school plays, out of the holidays, you watch how fast that red plaid skirt comes off and the lawyer hat comes on. You watch how fast the Instagram captions shift. You watch how fast that "we love you Cardi" energy becomes "she's keeping my grandbaby from me." That is the trap. That is the part nobody is preparing Cardi for. Because the warmest grandmother in the photo is sometimes the most aggressive grandmother in the deposition. Now I want to pause for a second and tell you something that is going to sound crazy, but I need you to hear me out, because this is where my brain goes when I look at this kind of story. I have been studying celebrity custody cases for years. Years. Not for fun. Because every time a famous woman has a baby with a man who already has other kids by other women, the same pattern emerges. The same characters show up. The same scripts get read. And one of the most consistent characters in that pattern is the paternal grandmother who, the year before the custody filing, becomes suspiciously close to the famous mother. I'm going to give you 3 names to look up after you finish this video, and you tell me if I am seeing things or if there is a pattern here. Name 1. Look into how the paternal grandmother behaved in the year before a certain rapper's custody case got loud in the late 2010s. Name 2. Look into the way the mother of a certain reality TV husband showed up at his then-girlfriend's events right before things imploded. Name 3. Look into any high-profile NFL paternity case where the mother of the player suddenly became best friends with the mother of the child in question. Every single time, you will see the same playbook. Show up, smile, document, position, and then, when the lawyers come, leverage. I am not saying Stephanie is running a playbook consciously. I am saying that experienced mothers know what experienced mothers know. And experienced mothers know that the woman who is going to have legal custody of your grandchild is the most important woman in your life, whether you like her or not. And the smart ones, the very smart ones, get ahead of that. Stephanie Diggs strikes me as a very smart one. Let's talk about her for a second, because I think we have been talking around her, and she deserves to be talked about. Stephanie Denise Diggs raised her sons through a level of grief that most people in this conversation cannot imagine. Her husband, Stefon's father, passed away when Stefon was a teenager. She raised that boy and his brother Trayvon, who also plays in the NFL, through that loss. She built the household that produced 2 professional athletes. That is not a casual woman. That is not a soft woman. That is a strategist with a Bible on her nightstand and a notebook in her purse. That is the kind of woman who, when her son starts spiraling, does not call a press conference. She calls an audible, quietly, slowly, in red plaid. So when I see her at Cardi's concert, I do not see a happy grandma. I see a general on a chessboard, moving a piece into place that her son cannot see and her son's PR team would not approve. I see a woman who has decided, in the privacy of her own prayer life, that the next generation of her family is going to be okay even if her current generation refuses to act right. That is who Stephanie Diggs is. I want us to give her the respect of seeing her clearly. She is not the meme she is being turned into right now. She is not Queen Mama. She is not shady mother-in-law. She is a woman doing a very old, very particular kind of work that the internet does not have a vocabulary for yet. Now let me give you the 3rd forgotten layer, because I have one more thing in my notebook and I am not leaving this video until I get it out of my mouth. Because while everyone has been focused on the concert, the poll, the song, nobody has been talking about what was happening backstage that night. Nobody. And this is where the rumor mill gets dangerous, so I want to be very careful with my words. I have heard from 2 different sources, and let me be clear, these are unverified. This is Internet Whisper Network material, treated as such, that Stephanie was seen leaving the venue not with her friend, not with a Cardi assistant, but with somebody from Cardi's actual family. Not Cardi herself. Somebody on Cardi's team/family. They left together. They went to dinner. And whatever they talked about at that dinner, that is the conversation that is going to shape what happens next in this whole story. Am I saying I know what they talked about? No. I am saying that a mother-in-law who flies herself in for a concert and then takes a private dinner with the other side's family is not just a fan. She is a diplomat. She is doing the work that diplomats have always done, which is to say, let's keep the lines open even when the boys are messy. And that, friends, is how royal families have managed disasters for centuries. The men cause the chaos. The women keep the dynasty alive. Same energy, different zip code. If that dinner happened, and I personally believe something like it did, then we are not watching gossip anymore. We are watching the early scenes of a transition story. We are watching the matriarch make sure her bloodline gets a chair at a table her son got himself kicked out of. And that is when Cardi's fans should really be paying attention. Not because Stephanie is the villain, but because Stephanie is not the cheerleader they think she is. She is something far more interesting. She is the woman in the room who is going to be there long after the relationship is over, long after the Patriots' release is forgotten, long after the chef lawsuit is settled, long after Stefon either gets it together or doesn't. Stephanie is going to be in that grandbaby's life. She is making sure of it. And every single move she makes from this point forward is a move designed to lock that in. Now, what does that mean for Cardi? What is Cardi supposed to do with all of this? Honestly, I think Cardi is doing the right thing already. She is performing her tour. She is taking care of her babies. She has not posted a single direct response to Stephanie's appearance. She has not addressed it on stage. She has not subtweeted. She is sitting in her power. And sitting in your power when the other side is moving loud is the smartest move in the playbook. Always has been. Always will be. The temptation when somebody who is connected to your ex shows up to your event in a public way is to either melt into gratitude or harden into suspicion. Cardi has done neither. She has done the third thing, which is just observe. Watch. Let it land. Let the internet do the noise. And quietly call her own attorneys and her own assistant and her own mother and make sure her own circle is locked in. That is exactly what I would want her doing if she was my sister. That is exactly what she is doing. I respect it. I want her to keep doing it. But I also want her to know, and I say this with so much love, that the warmest reception is sometimes the most strategic one. Not all heat is comfort. Sometimes heat is observation. Sometimes the woman in the front row is taking notes. Notes that will be used later. Notes that will end up in a deposition in 3 years when somebody has to decide what holidays look like, what summers look like, what school district the grandbaby ends up in, what the trust fund clauses read like, what the visitation schedule says on Christmas Eve. That is the world Cardi is walking through, whether she signed up for it or not. Welcome to having a famous baby with a famous man who has a famous mother who has decided to play long ball. That is not a problem. That is just the assignment. Okay, let me take one more turn before I wrap this, because there is one more piece of the puzzle that I have been holding on to, and it has to do with Stefon himself. I have not let him speak much in this video, and that is partly because he has not spoken much in real life. He has been weirdly silent. After the release, after the concert, after his mother's poll, he has said almost nothing publicly, which is on its face the right move. PR people will tell you, don't comment on personal family business when you are this hot in the news cycle. Fine. Standard. Got it. But there is silence, and then there is silence. And the silence Stefon is doing right now has a specific shape to it. He has not posted his children. He has not posted football. He has not posted the gym. He has not posted his mother. The man's grid is frozen. Which tells me one of two things. Either his team has clamped down on him and put him on full media blackout, which is a defensive posture, not a healthy one, or he is actually, quietly, somewhere, doing the kind of thinking that grown men do when their lives have caught up with them. I am hoping it is the second. I want it to be the second. Because the second is where transformations happen. The second is where men finally look at the math and decide to be better. The second is where the next chapter starts. The first, the PR clamp, is just a holding pattern that ends the second something else goes wrong, and based on this man's track record, something else is going to go wrong. The question is when. If I had Stefon's ear for 30 seconds, which I do not, and his publicist is probably already rolling their eyes, I would say this. Your mother is doing the work you should be doing. Your mother is showing up for your child. Your mother is making sure your son has a name in his other parents' circle. That work is yours, sir. Take it back. Show up. Be present. Be quiet, be humble, be useful, and most importantly, be the kind of father that your mother does not have to publicly campaign on behalf of. Because right now, that is what she's doing. She is campaigning for your child to have access to your bloodline, and you are letting her do that alone, and that is not the move for a man with your resources. Step up, or step aside. Pick one. But the in-between is what's killing you. That is what I would say. Probably won't be invited to dinner. That's fine. I have my own dinner. Now, I want to talk about Offset for a second, because I cannot do a full breakdown of this story without addressing the elephant that has been sitting in the corner of every comment section since Stephanie posted that poll. Offset, Cardi's ex-husband, the father of her first 3 children. The man who, less than a year ago, was in a hospital bed after a casino incident that the gossip pages have been chewing on for months. Offset has been weirdly active in his comments about Cardi and Stefon, and the contrast between his energy and Stephanie's energy could not be louder if you put it on a stage. Stephanie shows up to Cardi's concert in a poll. Offset shows up to Cardi's mentions in a meme. Stephanie posts a heart on the pregnancy announcement. Offset, by multiple reports, posted a joke. Stephanie has not said a single negative word about Cardi in 12 months of public posting. Offset has reportedly fed multiple gossip outlets multiple stories during the same period. One person, the grandmother of one of Cardi's children, has acted with discipline. Another person, the father of 3 of Cardi's children, has acted like he has lost his entire mind. And what that contrast tells you is that even within Cardi's own life, there are people positioning around her grandbaby's future, and they're doing it at very different volumes. Stephanie is the quiet one. The quiet ones are always the ones to watch. I also want to flag something that has been gnawing at me because I keep thinking about it. Right before the Patriots released Stefon, there was a quote that went around, I will not source cite it on camera because it is still unverified, that someone close to Stefon's camp had been telling reporters that his mother does not approve of the direction things have taken. Just that line. No context. No follow-up. Just a clean sentence floating in a sea of leaks. And at the time, I scrolled past it. We all scrolled past it. We were too busy clocking the cap implications, the Cardi rumors, the chef lawsuit. We did not pause on the quote. Pause on it now. His mother does not approve of the direction things have taken. If that quote is real, if it was actually planted by somebody connected to the family, then everything that has happened since makes a different kind of sense. Then Stephanie at the concert was not a surprise. Then the poll was not a surprise. Then the deleted song was not a surprise. Then the year-long pattern of warmth toward Cardi was not a surprise. Then this was a slow build, leaked sentence by leaked sentence, post by post, until the matriarch was ready to make a public-facing move and have nobody be able to call it sudden. Because she had been telling us. For months. We were too busy watching the wrong screen. And here is one more piece I want to put on the table. People are going to say, Tisa, you are reading too much into this. Sometimes a concert is just a concert. Stop overcomplicating it. And to those people, and I love you, I want to say this. You are right. Sometimes a concert is just a concert. Sometimes a poll is just a poll. Sometimes a song is just a song. In a vacuum, any one of these moves is meaningless. Anyone. But that is not how strategy works. Strategy is never the move you can isolate. Strategy is the pattern of moves you cannot. And when I lay all of these moves on the table, the heart on the announcement, the Mother's Day laugh, the Super Bowl proximity, the silence on the other grandbabies, the Houston concert, the heels or sneakers poll, the deleted audio, the rumored backstage dinner, I am not looking at any one of those things. I am looking at the pattern. And the pattern says somebody knows what they're doing. The pattern says somebody has been here before. The pattern says we are watching a woman who has lost more than the internet realizes and who has developed a very particular wisdom out of that loss. It does not show up in interviews. It does not show up in captions. It shows up in moves. Precise moves. Moves the rest of us have to slow down to read. Stephanie Diggs is teaching a masterclass right now, and the price of admission is just paying attention. All right, let me bring this in for a landing, because I know I have been talking for a long time, but this is one of those stories that has more layers than the internet is giving it credit for, and I want to make sure we leave here actually understanding what we just watched. Here is the headline in one sentence. Stefon Diggs got cut from the Patriots, and on the same day, his mother went to his ex-girlfriend's concert with a poll on Instagram and a song she deleted, and the internet is reading that as either a Queen Mama moment or a betrayal. When in reality, it is a third thing, a year-long, choreographed, generational chess moved to lock in a grandmother's access to a grandbaby in case the courts ever have to make a decision about it. That is the story. Strip away the outfits, strip away the captions, strip away the gossip channels and the comment sections. That is what we are actually watching. A grandmother building a bridge. A mother of a famous son acknowledging in public that her son's choices are not stable enough to guarantee her relationship with her grandchild, so she is making the relationship with her own hands. Brick by Instagram brick. Concert by concert. Polish by polish. I think it's beautiful. I do. I think it's also a warning. And I think both can be true at the same time. So here is where I want to leave you. 3 things to chew on. 3 things to take to the comments. 3 things to text your group chat about while you watch the next episode of this slow-motion telenovela unfold. 1. Pay attention to which family members of celebrity couples show up to which events. Pay attention to who deletes the audio. Pay attention to who never deletes anything. The Instagram grids of family members are doing more storytelling than the official statements. Always. 2. Be careful what you celebrate in a custody-shaped story. Not every mother-in-law who shows up is your friend. Sometimes the warmest woman in the room is the most prepared one. Sometimes the smile is the strategy. Especially when there are billions of dollars in earning potential, a grandbaby with a famous last name, and a custody outcome nobody wants to think about yet. 3. If you are Cardi B reading this, and I know somebody on your team reads everything, keep your eyes open. Keep your lawyers closer than your hugs. Keep documenting. Keep your inner circle tight. And know that you can love a grandmother and still write a clear, beautiful, no-nonsense custody agreement at the same time. The two are not enemies. They live in the same house, just on different floors. That is what I see. That is what I think. That is the read. Whether you agree with me, whether you think I'm out of pocket, whether you think I'm reaching, whether you think I'm spot on, I want to hear it. Tell me. Tell me in the comments. Tell me what your grandmother would have done in this situation. Tell me what your mother would have done. Tell me which camp you're in. Tell me if you saw the deleted song before I told you about it, because if you did, you are a detective and I respect you for it. And then, because I am going to be on this story like white on rice, hit subscribe. Turn the notifications on. Because the second Stephanie posts again, the second Cardi addresses this on a stage, the second Stefon's people release a statement, the second somebody from the family says anything, I am going to be back in your face with the breakdown. I am not letting this one slip past me. Not this one. This one matters. One more thing before I let you go, because I keep getting messages about this from y'all in the DMs, and I want to address it here in the open. People keep asking me, why do you care about this? They're celebrities. They have money. Their kids are going to be fine. Why does any of this matter? And I want to answer that, because it does matter, and the reason it matters has nothing to do with celebrity. It matters because every single thing we are watching unfold between Stefon, Cardi, Stephanie, and that baby is happening in regular families every single day, just without the cameras. Every day in this country there is a young woman who had a baby with a man who had other kids she didn't fully know about. Every day there is a grandmother who is trying to figure out how to stay in her grandbaby's life when the relationship between the parents fell apart. Every day there is a man who is somewhere between accountability and avoidance, trying to decide which version of himself he is going to be. The names are different. The dollar amounts are different. The cameras are different. The dynamics are exactly the same. So when we sit and we look at this story carefully, when we read the captions, when we notice the deleted song, when we recognize the strategy of the grandmother chess, we are not gossiping. We are learning. We are getting better at reading the people in our own lives. We are getting sharper about our own families. We are noticing things we used to miss. And that is what this channel has always been about. That is what I show up to do. Not to drag people, not to gossip for the sport of it, but to use these public stories as a mirror for the private ones. Because the private ones are where life actually happens. That is why this matters. Stefon's son is going to grow up. He is going to have questions. He is going to look at his mother, look at his father, look at his grandmother, and someday, he is going to ask, who showed up for me when I was little? Who built the world I was raised in? And the answer to that question is being written right now. In real time. In red plaid. In deleted audio files. In Instagram polls. In concert appearances. The answer is being written by every single move every single adult in this story makes. And I want that little boy to one day be able to look back and say, my grandmother showed up. My mother held it down. My father got it together. That is the trifecta I am rooting for. If you like, you love it. If you don't like it, we still love you. We just want you to think about it. That's all I've got for you tonight. Stay alert. Stay curious. Stay loving on your people. And keep your eyes on the family member who flies herself in. She is the one with the answers. I'll talk to y'all later. Bye. And one more thing before I sign off. Write this down somewhere, you will see it again. The loudest moves in any family drama are almost never the most important ones. The important ones are the ones you have to slow down to notice. The deleted song. The unposted child. The quiet heart on the announcement. The seat 3 rows behind. Those are the moves that build the actual future. Watch for those in this story and in your own. That is how you become the smartest person at the family reunion. That is how you stop being surprised by people you should have read years ago. Pay attention to the quiet ones. Always. And one more thing before I sign off. Write this down somewhere, you will see it again. The loudest moves in any family drama are almost never the most important ones. The important ones are the ones you have to slow down to notice. The deleted song. The unposted child. The quiet heart on the